Hello?
Suaranya dia gitu.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but
Perfect. But
like there's something blocking your voice.
okay.
Did you put it inside your clothes or outside? Or your
Is this
phone?
better? Is this better? I think the mic was the wrong mic. It was on the
This one better than previous one.
Okay.
Ini udah di
Perfect. Hey Freddie, how are you doing?
Speakernya nggak ada ya?
Perfect.
Kayaknya gini kita punya speaker. Itu speaker gratis lagi.
How are you doing, Freddie? I'll bring you up onto the stage. Perfect. Can you hear us, Freddie? Freddie.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good, good. Yes, welcome to the live stream. Where are you streaming in from?
Hello.
Where are you, my man?
I'm actually in Jakarta right now. One of my friend, Steve, is actually kind of going along with you guys in the AI meetup
Cool.
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we know Steve. We know Steve. He's just joining
Yeah.
us now, I believe. I think this is Steve Taylor.
Yeah. Mhm.
Perfect. All right. Great. Probably what I will do to moderate this is I'll leave you sort of below, and then if you want to ask a question, just type it in the chat, and we can bring you up to the stage to
For sure.
contribute. But yeah,
All right.
it's going to be a good one.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're talking about memory, KV cache, and a whole host of really cool stuff today. So
Cool.
should be a good one, and harnesses as well. All right, so we've got going. We're obviously waiting for B-Work to join us as well. Everybody in B-Work is
Okay.
of course on island time. Yeah,
Where are you from, Harry?
I'm from the UK.
Oh, okay. You are in UK right now.
I am, yes. I'm in
Oh,
the
okay,
UK
cool.
right now. Yeah. All right. Private chat. Lost sound, Harry. Can you hear us? Can you hear Steve? Everyone else can hear. So I think Steve's gonna log in and log back in. And here's Steve. Steve, let me know if you can hear me now. I'm wearing my microphone, so you should be able to hear me. Hello, good to see you. Good to see you. I'm good. Good to have you with us. We'll get going in about 5 minutes or so. We'll just wait for the stragglers to come. Usually, everyone in Bali is on island time. We got Steve Taylor joining us from somewhere in the world. I don't.
Wi-Fi? Are you in the cafe?
Yeah, the prelude one.
Yeah. But you get so it only takes like 2 hours, and then you can switch to be more member and put this.
was on karaoke the other night and I lost my voice.
Where are you? Where?
I don't know what it's called. It's just over near the sandbar. I know the sandbar.
Oh, yeah. It's to the mark. Okay.
Yeah.
How are you, Harry?
I'm very good. I am very, very good. Enjoying the hot weather in the UK for sure. It's not often it's 30 degrees for so many days in a row.
Oh, when you'll be back?
I think end of the
Soon.
month. Yeah, soon,
A month.
soon. End of the month. I think I'm gonna go on a little holiday to Spain and see a little bit of Europe, and then I'm gonna slowly make my way back to your side of the world. Yeah. So yeah, haven't figured it out yet. I flew Singapore Airlines on the way here, and it's pretty nice. So I'm keen to do it again.
Yes, yeah. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Still the best now.
Yeah, I think so. I think they give Emirates a run for their money. To be honest with you, they don't yet have the satellite Starlink, which I think is super cool. So yeah, hopefully they'll catch up with that soon. But yeah, very very impressed with Singapore Airlines. Actually, probably would rate it better than Emirates. So. All right, let's give everyone like 2 more minutes. So I'll just run through the agenda for you, my man, and for everyone joining us online. So we're talking about today different what we call harnesses. So this is like what system do we run AI on? So most people interact with AI on a chatbot basis and just ask it questions. There's actually a kind of another step, another paradigm for thinking about how we use these if you want to get the most out of AI. So we're going to be talking about that in detail. I'm also going to go into some of the research, particularly if Lewis joins us. Lewis is an engineer at Google. Is this Sean? I see.
You can tell.
Here he is. You can tell from how tall he is. Yeah, here he is, my man. So we're talking about we're going to go into some of the research that's going on with memory. So we often talk a lot about in AI about we need more compute, we need more compute, we need more compute. I'm going to essentially say why actually the new thing we need is memory and why that might be the case and optimization, and talk about some of the new advances that are going on in that as well. And then if we have a chance, we'll probably have a bit of a chat for time for a bit of a Q&A for people to sort of bring their many problems with AI, and I'll do my best to try and debug them. But we are at 2 minutes past, so I'll make a start on the agenda. I'm sure we'll have some more people coming soon. I know Lewis usually joins us. He's an engineer at Google. So a really, really smart guy as well. So he'll be able to help us with some of the research topics as well.
Really easy. So
Sorry?
B work is really empty. So maybe it's just this week or something is
maybe
not really
yeah. Perhaps that's the case. We had about 6 or 7 people last week joining us, I think. But yeah, there's a lot of people in Europe at the moment, so we'll see. So I was going to start today talking about harnesses, but why don't we start, as we've only got a few people in the room, why don't we do a little bit of an intro round? We sort of stopped doing that when we had quite a lot of people, but it could be quite useful. So do you guys want to go first and intro yourself? I think for the benefit of I think Steve and Sean know each other, but it would be good to hear a little bit about who you are, what your job is, and how you've been using AI so far.
Do you want to go?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know these guys already. My name is Sean. I use AI every day, and I run a news publishing business, but we don't really advertise our AI-ness all the time. We treat it like Microsoft Excel or something, just a tool that we would use behind the scenes. Yeah, and I find it very interesting, but I really have to just stop myself from reading AI news all day, because otherwise I get nothing else done, and I just have to check in here once a week and try and keep up with things in that way.
Cool.
you want to go next, my man? And then we'll get Freddie up.
Yeah, Dan. Sort of new to it all, but I like to do a bit of video editing and things, and I'm looking for a way to speed up the process.
Have you used Palmia?
I really haven't found it.
Okay, so what Palmia is, sorry to interrupt Harry, this is just super relevant
Go
for
for it.
him. Is
Yeah,
that maybe
I could talk for this on age. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, maybe your what is the tool that you're using right now for video editing? Oh, okay. So right at the low end, it could be like iMovie or something that comes with Windows or a Mac. But right at the top end, it could be Adobe Premiere, where you drag stuff around and you know what you're doing. But this Palmia Pro is amazing because you don't have to know what you're doing. You can just type in, like you're talking to ChatGPT, and say, can you please remove all the stuttering? Can you remove these words? Can you fade to black after Harry says this? And it just goes and does it for you. Yeah, so it's well worth looking up, and I know a lot of people in this group have been playing with it as well. So it's really one of the first few tools that you can use your own language to do the video editing instead of knowing what to do. It does not generate movies for you. That's only when you're editing existing footage.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could talk to you. I could talk to you about this topic for hours. Actually, I've kind of been experimenting a lot with this to the point where I'm now editing my own videos entirely using Claude as well. So Palmia is great as well, I think, but you can even use just Claude natively, so you don't even need a subscription for anything as well. You know, with Fable 5, it can do some really cool stuff. So if we have a little bit of time, we'll run through the agenda. It could be really useful for you, I think, if I share some of the repos that I've been using to actually be able to do that, and I can hopefully help you on your way with video editing.
Also,
Freddie, go for it. Yep.
Yes, sir. How are you doing? So yeah, I'm Freddie, and basically what I'm doing with AI is basically I'm doing stock market investment, and I'm using AI just to collect data and do a lot of pattern recognition in stock market.
Yeah, that's a really, really good use case for sure. I think using the trying to figure out how the stock market is going and having AI agents looking at that for you.
Oh yeah, it helps me a lot.
Yeah.
It saved me a lot of time.
Yeah.
I have seen some of Freddie's reports, and Freddie does amazing reports on companies, and so using AI, just investigating
really
companies. I've seen a couple of them before, maybe a year ago.
Oh, did you? Where did you see it?
Just in WhatsApp groups where you had shared your thoughts on a particular company, like MicroStrategy, and then you had put in big detailed information.
Oh, nice. I didn't know somebody actually read that.
Yeah, that was a group we were all in. Fred, you, me, and Sean and Nick. That's where it come from.
Cool,
just
cool.
to clear it up. Yeah. Okay. Carry on, Harry.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Harry.
And of course we've got Steve Taylor as well, the man that needs no introduction, the security expert, and I think everybody apart from Dan knows Steve, and working on some big AI projects, I think, as well. So glad to have you here with us. So I was going to start, to be honest, by talking about different harnesses, the difference between Claude Code and Cursor, and what a harness actually is, and how to start thinking about them. But how many people would kind of find this useful? I'm thinking maybe about Freddie and Dan. Would you find this useful, or would you rather we went on to some of the more technical topics? Because I know Sean and Steve are probably well versed in these kind of conversations.
I'm not gonna lie, I have no clue what harness is actually.
Okay, perfect. Okay, okay. Let's do 20 or so minutes. Yep. Let's talk about harnesses then, and the difference between them, and what they are. What do we mean when we say harnesses? So most people who use chatbots And I'm just going to remove you guys just from the stage. So just feel free to chat in the comments if you want to say something. When we think about harnesses, when we think about using AI, we're usually thinking about a chatbot. So we open up Claude, maybe we open up ChatGPT, maybe we open up Gemini, and most people's interactions with them is just to start sort of typing with it. Increasingly, in the last year or so, in the last 18 months, we've reached a point where that's not the only way that you can interact with AI. In fact, that might be the least efficient way that you can chat with an AI. And if you really want to get results from it, then what you want to do is be starting to think about how you can actually build systems around AI, things that run autonomously, things that are connected to all of your different tools, all of your different programs. And when we get really, really advanced, we might want to start thinking about how do we save some of this code in repositories on a tool called GitHub? How do we build different environments with different tools so things can be running autonomously in the cloud behind us? And so talking on a chatbot kind of makes that quite limited in what you can do. So increasingly, people are building kind of programs around these systems, and there are multiple different ways that we can chat with AI systems. So have you guys heard of Cursor?
Yep.
Cursor, yeah, Cursor. So Cursor is what we might call a harness. It's essentially a system that's been built, and the beauty of these systems is that you can plug and play whatever model that you want to use. So most people, of course, heard of Claude, heard of ChatGPT, but there were also a lot of other models as well. So that you might not have heard of. We've got Kimi, which is an open source model. We've got GLM 5.2, another really, really great model that I've been using a lot. And we've probably now got, I would say, probably about 50 different models, at least different LLMs, we call them, large language models, that we can use. Now, if you are sort of fixed into one system, it makes it very difficult to sort of switch between the different models. You're sort of locked into that system. So the people who are using AI in the most effective way, connecting it to all their different tools, are often using a sort of a different kind of wrapper around it. So we might be thinking about Cursor. Another one would be anti-gravity from Google. This is Google's own harness, which is obviously sort of specialized for Gemini. But we could also chat with models on the terminal as well. We have these sort of IDEs. VS Code was really the first one. So IDE is kind of like a very platform for coding. You can have multiple different windows and you can have multiple things going on. Again, it's like a harness. Some people also like to talk with the models in the terminal as well. The terminal is really that black box that you see mega sort of engineers, coders sort of using it. You can actually talk directly to AI using that. So you can see we've got all of these different choices in terms of how we use models. And if we want to get the most sophisticated response out from them, then this is kind of what we need to be thinking about. So if I share my screen, you can have a bit of a sense of what I'm talking about. Share my entire screen. So if we think about what Cursor looks like, Cursor is a very, very nice, very beautiful tool now. You can see it looks a lot like this. Very nicely designed. Sorry?
We can't see your screen.
Lost you there, Sean. Can you say it again?
We can't see your screen.
Can you not? Okay. There you go. There we go. Can you see it now? Got it. Great. So you can see Cursor is very beautiful, very nice, with all these nice little and things on. So people are essentially building systems that work for them, okay, that are intuitive. And you can see here this little box. It just makes it very easy to change the model. We can use 4.5, GPT 5.6 Soul, obviously the leading model at the moment from OpenAI, Fable 5, and even Cursor themselves have built their own model. It's sort of based around Kimi 2.5, not a model from scratch per se. So we've got this, and then if we look at VS Code, so these are all pieces of software that live on our desktop that we can sort of use, and we can start adding things to at any point. So VS Code, if we can get it up, really nice as well. So VS Code looks a bit like this. Again, it looks a lot like Cursor, but it's sort of a slightly more dated version. I don't know that many people sort of using this now. And then one that I think is underrated that people are not really using as much as they could be, and that is anti-gravity from Google. When this first came out, it was a big deal and a big dream. And anti-gravity, I think I know a lot of people who are using it in a really interesting way. Another IDE, and this is Google's sort of IDE as well. We can see here it has a CLI agent as well. A CLI is what we call a command line interface, and that's what I meant by sort of speaking with it in terminal. So my point is really to say to people that there were kind of more than one way of skinning a cat. We've got all of these different systems that are being built now. And so you'll hear a lot of people saying, you need to be using this, you need to be using that, I'm using Cursor. And I think really the answer is, how do we actually get to a point where you are thinking for yourself about what kind of systems you want? So when we're thinking about AI, I think it's a really good place to start, to think about what are you trying to achieve? What is the system that is most intuitive to you? So for me, I still like using Claude Code. I find that the most intuitive one. I like the fact that you can sort of color code things now. We can move things around, and you can organize chats in different windows. Some people much prefer living in the CLI, that little terminal box, and speaking to Claude in there. Some people love anti-gravity, and then thinking about what kind of tools we want to connect to it, and how much freedom we want to have in terms of which model we connect to it as well. So when you start to think about systems, I definitely encourage everybody to move away from simply thinking about just speaking to ChatGPT or just speaking to Claude, and actually thinking about what kind of tooling might be useful for them. Has that made sense? Okay, great. Dan, what kind of tool are you using at the moment, and what kind of tasks are you doing? Because you mentioned video editing.
Premiere Pro.
Okay, Premiere Pro is the main thing, and are you putting AI tools into Premiere Pro to do video editing?
Yeah. I'm still learning all this.
Okay. Yeah. So you're still thinking about yeah, but hey man, good to see you. In terms of what systems you're using for AI, other than Premiere Pro, obviously you're using Premiere Pro for video editing. Are you using any ChatGPT or any Claude on a regular basis?
I just talk to ChatGPT and ask questions. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, yeah. So to really take things to the next level, I think you want to be thinking about how can you design a system around video editing, which is a really good idea.
Or build your own.
In ChatGPT.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it might be really useful to sort of make this practical and talk about how you could do video editing with Claude Code and some of the examples that you can do. So let me show you a video that I made entirely using Claude Code. It did all the video editing for me, and then I'll talk you through how you can do this and some of the things that you can do. So I'll share my screen with you again. What we want.
I think somebody else will
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could do long form content. Last week I put out a video, the AI heist no one can stop. Can you see this? Can everyone see this?
Yeah.
Great. So you can see this part was generated by Omni. The color grade was done by Claude as well. The zooms were done by Claude. And the camera switching. So this was 2 4K cameras. This was done by something called Playwright, which is a web browser. So it went out and actually sourced that tweet for me and actually put it up on screen. And then these nice graphics were done by the image generation models. Okay, and then animated using Google Omni. So you can see there's all kinds of different things going on here. And I would actually use Fable to make this. I think you probably could do this with Opus 5, but you'd probably need to do a few rounds of revisions. It went and found this archive clip because we're talking about when encryption was a war crime, and it made this nice picture about Phil Zimmerman. So it really is good now at finding things, clipping things up, doing all the things that you would want from a traditional video editor for long form video editing. And then this was another one that we did. It was cheating. So it's getting really good now at making these little articles, making doing the animations, finding bits of B-roll. And of course, it takes maybe one round of revisions or so to say, no, don't do this, don't do that. You could even import this into Palmia as well. But this is the kind of thing that you can make organically with Claude. We could also do some short form video editing as well. So if we go on my Instagram page, I've been trying to put out a few shorts of things that are interesting. Where are we? And so again, you can see we can do this kind of thing, this really nice color grade, the hook, the captions, the zooms, talking about how you can talk in front of camera, and it's taking some of my other reels and putting them out there, and sourcing this. So it can do this in one shot basically now, which is really cool. But it can only do this if you set it up right, if you tell it exactly what you need to do.
Can you show this
And
to
so
us?
yes, exactly. Yeah, let's talk about how we can actually do this now, which I think is really useful. So first of all, we need to be working within Claude Code. So if I come out of this and we go to Claude, we go to code. So you can see we have obviously Claude, and then we have Claude Code. So if we start a new window, this is what we mean by a harness. So we have all kinds of things that we can add to this, right? So the first thing that I've done is I've set up this. This means it can run in the cloud. So we have two options. Can we run it locally? Can we run it on the cloud? To start with, I'd recommend you just start on the desktop because it's easier. But when we're running it in the cloud, we need to set up specific environments. Why do we want to run things in the cloud? It means we can actually run this without us being in the loop. We can literally just be completely divorced from this, and it can run for us for days. So we could chat on our phone, ask it to go away and do something, and we could come back in an hour and see the finished results. Obviously, if we close our laptop, then we're gonna miss. And with a task like video editing, it can take quite a long time. So that's the first important thing to note. So if I set it up in the cloud, you see we've got API key access. Now, the first thing we're going to want to do is we want to go and get the video use tool from GitHub, which is this. So we can grab this here. It's GitHub browser video use main skill. This is a skill. A skill is like basically a set of instructions to an LLM telling it exactly what we want it to do. And people can write these skills and put them and make them basically available on the internet for us. Now, this is the video use skill. It was developed by Hyperframes, by the same guys that wrote HeyGen, I think. I'm not sure. But it's a really good skill. And what it does is it uses 11 Labs Scribe, which is a transcription tool, a really accurate one. And it also looks at the wavelength as well of the video. So it's not just taking the words, it's also looking at the wavelength to see where people are talking and where they're not. And it reasons about what to cut and what not to cut. And in my experience, this is the gold standard for actually making the cuts and doing the video editors. And it's free, it's entirely free. So you can literally give this to Claude and say, install this like a piece of software. I now want you to use this. You do need a key to 11 Labs. So it's going to cost you maybe $20 a month, something like that. It just in sort of transcription costs. But other than that, it's free, and it's been the gold standard for me. And you can see it's written all of these sort of codes and tools for being able to do this. So this is the one thing you want to do. It works best if you actually give it a transcript. So if you just say cut this video, it's not going to necessarily know what to cut and what not to cut. So when you first start doing this, you might want to actually ask it to give you the transcript first. So if you want to ramble for 2 hours, you might want to go to Claude and say, okay, use this skill, but first give me the transcript about what you propose to cut before you actually go ahead and do it, and just sort of QC it in that way. Now, is everybody following along to this? And Dan, are you sort of understanding how this is starting to work? Yeah. Okay, great. So we've got this. So this is the number one thing that you want to install. And then you're going to want to install something called Playwright as well. So what is Playwright? Playwright is a kind of like browser in a browser. Okay, it enables web automation. So it means Claude can go off on its own and scrape websites for you and scrape the B-roll that you need. It can get all the things that you need. But what if you want archive? So this is if you want a web page. So let's say we often talk about stories that are in the decoder. So for my videos, what's really, really helpful is to actually go to the decoder and find a story, or tell it to search the decoder for relevant stories, and to actually screen record you scrolling down them. And then we can put this as a post in the video. Another tool that's really, really useful. Sorry. Did you say something, Dan? Okay. And can everybody see this? Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
another skill that's really useful is YTDLP. This allows you to download YouTube videos. So you can use this, and it's completely free. So you can go onto YouTube, and any archive footage, you can have it to search YouTube, and then you can actually download these videos and put them in your own videos as well. So there are three really, really great skills that are entirely free that you can use with Claude, and you can build a system around them. Sorry?
Can you show again the YouTube one, Harry, please?
Yep. It's called YTDLP.
Let me see like the beginning of the.
So you need to go to GitHub and.
Yeah.
YTDLP. So all of these are open source softwares, basically. Okay, they're repos that people have put out there for free. They've been available before AI for quite a long time, but now we have AI. We don't need to invest in wrappers around them. We can literally just expose them to Claude and get them to go off and do things. So just to recap, in case anyone missed it, video use for video editing, Playwright for automation, and YTDLP for scraping YouTube. Now, the beauty is if you're using something like Cursor, or you're using even one of the sort of harnesses around some of the open source models, is that you could maybe even do this even cheaper than you can with Claude, than a Claude subscription. Okay, so I'm sort of testing whether we could do this, and you can switch between the different models. So when we talk about harnesses, this is really where they come really, really into play, because imagine you are running a system, you're going to want to make sure that you can switch between whatever model you want without losing your entire system, or without being chained to it.
I see.
Okay. So that's kind of an intro to video editing. We won't do a video in the session because it will just take too long. It will take about an hour to come back with results. Often, if you're using Fable 5, these are very long, what we call long horizon tasks. If you think about the steps that are involved in this, the transcript, the finding the B-roll, the doing the QC, the doing the color grade, maybe even putting some music over the top of it as well, doing sound effects, doing zooms. it's a long task for an AI to do, but we're really sort of reaching the moment now where we've got models that can run for long enough to be able to do tasks like this that before the smaller models would have fallen down on. All right. Perfect. So I want to talk now about, I think, first of all, do you have any questions about that before we move on to the next sort of topic, which is going to get a little bit technical, but should be quite interesting. Okay. So as we're seeing, we've got these more and more powerful AI models. Have you heard of Fable? Who here has heard of Fable? Who here has heard of GPT 5.6 Soul?
I'm a Codex guy.
Who here, Codex guy? Who here has heard of Astra? Be very impressed if you've heard of this. Sean, have you heard of Astra? Sean has,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah. Astra is like the next level of models that hasn't been released yet. That's supposed to be super powerful, and for the first time, they've met sort of a cybersecurity. They've flunked a cybersecurity test, set up an alert with OpenAI in terms of meeting their threshold for a model that they consider to be extremely dangerous. As the models are increasing and they're getting more and more powerful, and they're able to do things, they're able to run for longer periods of time to do more complex tasks. And that's where the video editing fits in. If you think about video editing, there's no way on earth that we would have been able to do this with a Sonnet or even with an Opus maybe 4.6 a year ago, or an Opus 4. It's only really in the last couple of months that we've really sort of crossed the event horizon when it's come to this. This is only going to continue. So imagine we've already got GPT 5.6 going off and solving new math problems. But there is a bit of an issue. When we think about AI models, we're thinking about, okay, what about compute power? Often we'll hear people say, well, we just need to throw more compute at it. We just need to basically spend more money on GPUs for these more powerful models that are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But there's actually another bottleneck towards that, which is memory. So the sort of the longer context windows that we have, and do you know what a context window is here? Who's familiar with what a context window is and what's involved in it? Say if you don't know what it is.
Honestly, say if you don't know, because it will take Harry 30 seconds to explain.
Yeah.
Dan says, what is a context window?
Yeah, context window is the amount of information you can give a model without its head exploding and it just basically stops. So the more you interact with it in a chat window, the more you're filling up its context window. So if you have a context window of 1 million, then if you think about the more words you're adding to it, it's got to search through all of those different words to give you the correct response, the response that you want. And the more words you add to it, it gets exponentially bigger and bigger and bigger. If you think about it as a prediction machine, it's trying to look through all the different components that you've said to it to get you what you want. And so we started off in a place where we had 256,000. That was the sort of the average context window. And then there was a move towards a million context window, a million tokens. So we can think of tokens as kind of a bit like words in terms of what they are. It's not quite that accurate, but if we think about a million words is a million tokens for argument's sake. A bit more. We get a few more words than that. Then the problem starts to become, we need to store this memory somewhere. We need to actually be able to store all of that information so an LLM can look through it to give you the exact response that you want. And as tasks are running for longer and longer and longer, our context window is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. When we think about now, we're doing tool calling. So now we're not just sticking and having a chat with an LLM with words. We're saying, okay, now we want you to go out and write some code to go and interact with Notion. And then I want you to go away and act with a second brain. And if you think about video editing, you think about all of the steps that we need to go through. You say, okay, I need you to go and interact with this GitHub repo that has the video use skill in. Now I want you to download YTDLP to go and scrape YouTube, and I need you to log into YouTube, look through all the videos on YouTube and come back with the videos, then I need you to do the transcript and put it all together. You start to reach a point where people's expectations are getting really high. Now, we can't just solve that by giving things more memory. In fact, what we need to do is we need to start optimizing the memory. If we think about when we're doing pure compute, which is like a fundamental compute operation, we're doing flops, which we measure that in flops, with floating operation points per second. This is the amount of basically computer processing we can do within 1 second. It's how we measure how powerful the system that we're running these AIs on in the GPUs. But it's no good as having a really powerful model if the memory is stuck. If it's going to take us like 5 minutes to get a response because it's not been optimized. And so far, we've seen all of the big labs say we need to spend more money on compute. We need to get more GPUs, these graphical processing units which run on AI. But we've seen not that much done in terms of the way of memory. And often what happens when we've got a bigger context window, all of that information ends up needing to be stored on a memory, on HBM. And we call some of this sort of KV cache as well, is some of the technical terms for it. And so increasingly what we're seeing is it doesn't really matter if we just buy more compute. It's a very expensive, very inefficient way to get us where we need to go with the demands of these new models. And so companies are now coming out and starting to think about how do we optimize the memory aspect of it as well. And when we're thinking about context windows, more complex tasks, this is what we need to be thinking about it. And we've got something from NVIDIA Dynamo, it's called, which is sort of optimizing the memory that we have already. And we've also got a whole bunch of sort of chip providers that have come out and started to do some really cool stuff in terms of optimization. And bandwidth and latency as well. So NVIDIA Dynamo is really this offer that allows you to basically sort of blast through a prompt and basically do some of the more messier aspects of setting up an AI model on a computer in a more efficient way, to sort of take care of it and kind of auto optimize certain aspects of it for memory, and really in layman's terms. And then we've also got some of the chip providers as well. So there's a company called Marvel, and they put out this brand new SC6 chip. And what it's trying to do is essentially reshape this kind of memory hierarchy itself. So it's trying to offload as much of the sort of memory and the caching from the really expensive GPU into the memory on much cheaper flash, but keeping that latency there. And the latency is basically the how fast we can access the information. And I think this is a really interesting state of affairs. So that because it can offer us higher throughput and sort of lower latency. And throughput is really how we get the best results out of the models. Throughput is really how much information can we get through. You know, how many AI processes can we actually do in a short period of time. And as we think about the complexity of these models growing and growing, we go back to video editing again. It's really important that we get that right, I think, so people are not waiting around for 3 or 4 hours. And so this is the move now, I think, to move to a sort of a more efficient model. Sean, what do you think of this? I guess like you've probably come across some of these stories for Tech Day. What are you hearing on the ground about the sort of memory efficiency and as the context window grows?
Yeah, I am hearing lots about compaction and how good some people's compaction is in others. So yeah, I think that's one of the most interesting areas that I've read about recently, and how the compaction can be fantastic on Claude and pretty bad on ChatGPT at the moment. And yeah, I don't know enough about how it works behind the scenes, but that is really a very fascinating area, because people keep on chatting forever in the same context window and don't really realize that they are losing momentum with them because of how much they've shoved into the same chat.
Yeah, and Google put out this paper, the infinite context window, which basically they put this paper out probably about 2 years ago now, which basically hypothesized that we could have a infinite context window if essentially we did compacting. And so compacting for people that sort of if you don't know what it is, it's basically we have this your context window and at certain intervals, and AI will go away and like summarize all of the different relationships. So you've got a summary of the context window rather than every single thing in your chat. And of course there are limitations with that, because if you do that, then not everything you've said is saved. You're relying on um, a summary rather than the raw verbatim chat. But doing that at more regular frequent periods can get you to a point where you've got a sort of infinite chat window. But all of that really, again, it doesn't necessarily extend the context window per se. So I think what's really interesting about this moment is that the technology keeps pushing on for us to be able to do more and more and more, like PhD level style things. And then at the same time, we're constantly looking at ways to make it more efficient. So things that might have seemed really expensive 6 months ago are actually cheaper and more efficient, because we've optimized certain elements of the stack along the way. Am I frying your brain a little bit there, Dan? Are you kind of following what we're saying?
I'm not even sure what I'm not missing, so I've got plenty of questions, but I'll just listen on for this session for sure.
Yeah. So I think the overarching point is the models are getting better and better. They're getting better at doing more complex things, and you can start to really push the boundaries and use them for things like video editing is one. Getting it to do like trading is a shame. I think Fred's logged out, but trading would be another one. If you could get it to go and analyze, thousands of different companies in a high level of detail, and then not only write your report, but actually be able to go out and action it and trade for you every single day. The point is there are more and more complex things with lots and lots of different steps that these models can now get right. And so we're sort of trying to optimize for how do we work them, how do we make sure it's not too expensive for everyone, so they're available for everyone, because we could reach a point where your subscription becomes 10k a month for some of these models if you wanted a lot of Fable tokens.
Harry, do you know about Grug?
Grok.
Grug.
Yes, yeah, I've heard of it. Yep.
Yeah, so that's the internal language that ChatGPT models are reasoning with itself using instead of English. So they don't obviously show you that reasoning, and by the time they show you little bits and pieces of the reasoning, they've turned it back into English. But they've worked out this very clever machine language that it can talk to itself. And it's like this bad, and this excellent, user wants blah, and they've worked out these very short-handed ways of doing it, and obviously across millions of reasoning transactions per second, that makes a massive difference. It's just interesting that everybody keeps on saying that English is the language of AI, but really behind the scenes, Grok, all these very short languages are actually starting to become the language of reasoning behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. We had Billy talk about this. Billy was the chief software engineer at Visa, a very, very smart guy. He's now the CEO of a sort of AI Wall Street company. And he was talking about layers of abstraction. So what do we mean by that? Like every time you have a coding language, then someone will write eventually it starts with binary, and then people have just built out to the point where he said a lot of people were talking about how English is the last layer of abstraction because everyone can speak in it. But really, it's very inefficient. Would we even choose English as the language of choice if we're going to talk about how do we be more efficient with tokens? Probably not, right? It's just that obviously a lot of people use it. Indeed, you can chat with any language in these models now. I can chat to it in Vietnamese and it will answer me back in Vietnamese. So it is probably something that exactly is going on in the back end, and that's how coding works. That's how coding has always fundamentally worked, right? Which is that we have an interface that we work with because that's what's easiest for the user, but then behind the scenes it's not very efficient. So we've got various coding languages to ultimately in the end it just execute binary on the system.
Layers of abstraction.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of the same with video editing, I guess, as well. We could make the argument as well that like video editing, we've got all these tools and things and Premiere Pro, some that I don't even understand, to be honest with you. I'm sure Dan probably understands them more than I do, all these video editing terms. And again, it's like a specific language. And now we've got Claude as a layer of abstraction to be able to speak to it in English, to be able to interact with it. But I think as you sometimes have to step back and think about what's going to be the most efficient way to deal with these. I haven't actually checked out Palmia yet. I think I downloaded it. I didn't get really into the weeds with it. But again, it's another layer of thinking about, is it actually more efficient for me to just be chatting in natural language with Claude when I want it to make a small change in my video editing file? Or am I actually better to have a timeline there so that Claude can do maybe 80 or 90% of the work, and then when I want to make a small change, I can just press a button on my timeline. It's obviously going to be way more efficient for certain things.
But Harry, the key here is parallelism.
Yes.
That you can ask it to go and put a black ending after Harry said these words, and then do this and do that, and then you flick across to something else, and you get on with your emails while it is doing it in the background. So yes, I do think it is more efficient because you can do lots of things in parallel.
Yeah, precisely, exactly. I think, exactly. I think that's the key point to using AI as well. Is being able to, exactly as Sean says, doing things in parallel, whereas you're only one person, so you can only access one program at a time, unless you're going to get multiple people. I do know some video editors, by the way, that the way they run their business is that when a video comes in, they split the task over 10 different people. They say one person's doing the captions, one person's doing the initial cut, one person's doing this, and they all run in parallel. It's kind of a crazy way to run a video editing team, and I think some people have sort of limited. Some people have really good results with it, and some people prefer to have one person. But with LLMs, of course, this is the sort of everyday standard. Did anyone else have anything more to say on this before we do? I think we could go to a quick, Q&A, and maybe Dan, there'll be some time for you to ask me some more detailed questions about video editing if you want.
I'll be going now. So yeah, nice to see you again.
Oh, thank you, brother. Okay.
Diogo, yeah.
See you, buddy.
See you, man.
See you soon, my man.
See you, Harry.
Yeah. Did you have any more questions about this before we? What?
When are you back?
End of the month.
Okay, we've still got 2 more sessions or something. It's just nowhere near as good with you in person.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, I think it's good to still continue to run it. I think while we're here, people could get some value out of it. But yeah, I'll be back. I think at the end of the month. It's kind of unavoidable visiting.
Did you hear that the other AI meetup on Wednesday has given up? And because they're worried about immigration problems from the Indonesian government.
Yeah, we're gonna have to chat to be work about that. About that. I think we're okay running it online at the moment, but I know Anton's still running his, so yeah. But let's not talk about immigration at the moment. Especially considering this is on YouTube. But what was I going to say? Do you have any more questions about memory or video editing or KB cache before we wrap up? Dan, did you want to ask anything more? Get some more nuggets out of me before we wrap up.
Go away and play with for now. Thank you.
So what is the key? key for Dan. He should get onto Claude, because Claude is probably a better tool to actually overall do the video editing, and then Premiere Pro. But then the 2 or 3 skills that you recommended, he should download into Claude.
Absolutely. Have you written those down? Have you got all of the skills that I've written down?
I took a couple of photos of his screen.
Great.
One of them was the video editing skill. One of them was the YouTube downloading tool.
Yeah. YouTube.
So video use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got video use. This one here.
I'll just find them on Google while I've got you.
Yep.
These
video
are
use.
skills
This is the
for Claude.
Video use.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're inside Claude.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, you're going to have to find them on GitHub and put them into your Claude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. All you've got to do is give it this URL, video use main skill.md. So you just copy that URL, give it to Claude, and it will install them for you. And then you're going to want this one as well, YTDLP.
And then what are you using if someone wants to generate code at the moment? Are you going through Hexfield or Val, or what are you doing, Gary?
I'm doing Foul AI. I found Higgsfield is a bit of a ripoff. I find that it is very expensive. I mean, it's a great tool. Gcore, one of their clients, Gcore, who I work for. I work for a data center company. It's still a great tool. I just think Foul. Let's say this way, Foul I think is better value for money. So this is if you want to generate assets, you can just top this up. You don't need a subscription. There's no limitations on it. I still find this is the number one. So this is if you want to generate actual images. So images, videos, this kind of thing, I would still recommend Foul, which is pretty remarkable that I'm still recommending it, even like 2 years on, I'd say, from when I first started using it. That no one else has kind of come and sort of beaten them to it.
What Foul is FAL. It's a marketplace where you can access all of the different models in one place, and you just maybe put like $10 credit on there, and then you can access all the different tools in one spot.
Exactly.
Right.
Quite useful.
So if I on GitHub, I like where I can go to download different programs to.
Yeah, there are different types of things. GitHub, there's no money involved. It's just where the code is actually stored on the internet, so you can find it to bring into Claude. And then Foul is actually a service where you can pay to use a little bit, like a sampler or a taster of each different model. Yeah, sorry, I was going to say, put Steve on the stage because he wants to ask about context windows.
Yeah, I just seen him just now. Yeah, Steve, what do you want to know about context windows? My man, ask away.
Well, can you hear me now?
Got you, Steve. We got you.
Okay, cool. Yes, the question is, I use Perplexity Pro, and so I use it a hell of a lot for research and all that kind of stuff. But the context window, I ask a thread, and then eventually I run out of a thread, basically. They said you need to open up another one. But what I find is that sometimes the context follows on from another window. So if I say I was doing research on this, I don't know, vulnerability or whatever, and then in the other window, it'll say, since you mentioned it before, this is what is the update or something like that. So basically, the context window follows on from one to another. So you would think it would be compartmentalized, but the context window almost kind of as if it's like remembering a conversation that I had with it 2 weeks ago. What's the story with that? Is it kind of a link context window that kind of take stuff from before, like as if your secretary remembers when your wife's birthday was or something like that? Just wonder how that works.
Surely, Harry, not conversation.
Sure, sorry, say it again.
Surely it's memories that are being saved of things that the user is interested in, instead of actually referring back to the conversation.
This is precisely my point. There must be a way to turn this off. I expect there's a setting somewhere in Perplexity where it's saving memories, and you could probably turn it off so it doesn't do that. Because I fully expect what's happening is you're making separate API calls every time you're starting a new chat window, but there's something over the top of it that's saving some of them in a memory feature that you could probably turn off.
Yeah, yeah. And is this a good or bad thing? It's good in some respects, but is it limited its ability, its cognitive headspace to kind of compute? Because if you're remembering so many things from so many threads, you could get overloaded. But then the flip side is they could bring in something I asked before reminding me. So I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing. I'm trying to work out what the idea of it is, because it almost as if you've got a infinite context window from that, because it reminds me of things I've said months ago. It's interesting.
I think this is one of those things that you kind of have to decide for yourself, and it's one of those things where Claude has set this up, where I think there's been a lot of demand for this, and often what happens is Claude just decides, well, everyone's asking for this, so we'll implement memory, or Perplexity is like, we'll implement memory because it's a thing, thinking that they're doing the right thing by everybody, so that there's cross-pollination between all the different chats and certain things are stored. But for other people, it's not useful, depending on what they, what they do, right? So, like for me, it is useful because it's got always got the context of all the different YouTube projects I work on what's worked and what's not. But then for other people, they might want things to be completely separate, especially from a compliance point of view, right? So,
Correct.
Yeah, I don't think there's an overarching idea that this is right and this is wrong. I think it's what works for you. But obviously, from a compliance point of view, you don't want separate chats leaking across each other. You want to keep them completely separate.
Correct. That's right. Yeah. So okay, I'll see if there's a way to turn it off, because it's good and bad. That's my thoughts anyway. So okay, exactly. No worries.
I'm pretty sure there'll be a way to turn it off somewhere in there for sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any more questions, my guys, before we wrap up?
Thank you.
All right. A bit of a small one this week, but hopefully you found it useful. So talking about some memory stuff, some video editing, and I'll be back at the end of the month. So hope to see some of you in person whenever.
Good stuff. Okay.
Super. Thanks, Harry. Bye. See you soon. Safe travels. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.